Hi everyone, and welcome to Akweya TV. In our program today, we are going to be talking with a professor in the University of Benue State University. He's a professor in the Department of Theatre Arts. And we are going to be talking about the Akweya book project. My name is Lona Odaba. Like before, for the first time in the history of Akweya, there has been no documented or any written thing about Akweya history. And Akweya history has been in several versions ever since the beginning of the Akweya history. And it's a book that the professor is trying to write or is working on. And it's a great work he's doing, it's embarking on, it's challenging. And since so many people have their own version of Akweya, the professor is trying to get it right, to get the right document of the Akweya history on paper. More from the content already outlined. The book is all encompassing, it's tedious, and going about getting the history of Akweya is not an easy task. The culture and many other aspects of the life of Akweya people, since the Akweya people are not exactly in the same places, you have to go to get them, and you have to get different vibes. It's oral, it's not written. So the project has not been easy. Professor Ted Anyebe, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
In our program today, we would really like to know very many things about your book, about what you are going to, what you are trying to do with the Akweya book project. First of all, what was the inspiration you had? What was the push behind you writing the Akweya book project, or going into the project rather?
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity with Akweya TV.
You're welcome, sir.
As you would have noticed, there is a predominance of great population of alienated people all around this part of the world, not just Benue, Idoma, Akweya, but most of the colonized worlds have a problem with getting alienated from their roots. And Akweya is one group of people that have this issue of their great majority, particularly the majority of the present generation of younger people from the age of, perhaps, let me just hypothesize, from the age of 25 below, or even up to 30. A good number of them are very seriously far removed from their roots. And one of the reasons why they are removed from their roots is because of perhaps many factors. One is the system of education, which right from the beginning, right from the onset, when the little child goes to school, he is exposed directly to a foreign medium of communication, that is English. And so the child grows with a mentality that English language, that is for us who are in this part of, like this part of the world. Nigeria was colonized by the British. And so we speak the colonial language. And so the language that you speak drives your way of thinking. And right from that youthful time, the present educated Akweya people are exposed to a culture that is not theirs, and they have grown with it. Now, I found it a very big challenge, especially in my research into the doings of our people. That you walk into somebody's compound, the father greets you in Akweya, the mother greets you in Akweya, and the children greet you in English. And I think that is not a very good approach to the living system, the way people should develop. And so language is a very strong factor in the making of an individual. Language is part of culture. And the culture is what has been denied this set of people. I can tell you that even people who are older are so disadvantaged culturally because of the withdrawal and the sudden introduction to a culture, particularly through the mode of growth, which is, educational wise. That's the development process. And so I think that we should arrest this situation. Otherwise, a time is going to come when, one, the language will go into extinction. And that's going to be very dangerous. And so once the language goes into extinction, it means the people no longer exist because there will be no speakers any longer. And the culture, of course, which is driven by language, also will go into extinction. I found that I have a responsibility to my people, a responsibility to give this back, that people need to be conscientized. People need to know where they come from. People need to speak their language. People need to identify with their culture. And I feel very strong about this. So the book, Akweya Book Project, is my own way of getting people to open up. I intend to use the book as a way of getting to Akweya people to open up and then let them know through their own contribution. I'm not going to sit down and write all the books. I'm going to get data from as much people that are willing to contribute data. And through that process, Akweya people will know that their own being is very important in the documentation process, which of course has so many values for the growing population of Akweya.
Oh, sir, thank you. You were saying something about alienated. Can you please elaborate on that?
Alienation means a process of separation from, if it's cultural alienation, then it's a process of separation, of not identifying with your culture. So you are placed somewhere else. Perhaps, maybe because of birth, you belong to a culture, you belong to a group, you belong to it, you come from a tradition. But when a man is alienated, he is mentally, psychologically, and everything that makes a man is removed from it into another culture. So he is alienated.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Your source, the source you are using to document this book, are you sure of your success?
Well, yeah, that is an issue. Gathering data, especially the methodology we are going to use to gather the data for the book. We are aware. We're going to use qualitative methodology. We're going to be talking with people. We're going to be doing interviews. We're going to be relying much on oral tradition. And oral tradition has its limit, has its problem. Because it is the information or the data is stored in the mind of your respondent, you have to depend on the views of your respondent. So from that perspective, yes, there will be some bias there will be some bias. But when you get sources from when you get data from different sources, there will be point of convergence, and that is where we are going. Why we won't expect to have 100% pure data, as it were, this will come, and it will provide itself to the people who gave birth to it. So I'm thinking that this is the first step. The book project is not going to be an end result in itself. It's not going to be a one-off thing. I'm trying to set a precedence. With that book, other reactions can give birth to other books, and so the literatures will grow. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Seeing this project, is going to be financially, it's going to take a lot of finance. Will the ACDA assist in with the project?
I have been in touch with the ACDA chairman. I've been in touch with the ACDA chairman, and we are discussing. I know that, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I know that ACDA will help to facilitate our meeting with people who are responsive enough, who can provide any assistance, financial assistance. Research is capital intensive. We're going to be working with a team of research assistants who need to travel, who will need. And when you go out, you need to do some little PRs and the rest. But of course, we're going to be talking as much as ACDA can. I expect them to facilitate the process of access to the capital that we may need. But outside ACDA, we think that some good-spirited Akweya people who can make themselves available will be able to help.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll take a break. I'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, people? My name is Solomon Lange, and you're watching Akweya TV. God bless you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ochanya Ojofu. I am the founder of Akweya Children Carnival. Watch Akweya TV.
Yemasni ame Veronica Ochido. Engada ya Akweya TV.
Agatugolegadam. Ihiyegun kama Oge David Ubede. Mbo Bagaji, Togolega Agatu, local government of Benue State. Ungo reporter Akweya TV. Akweya TV.
Welcome back from the break. You're still with Akweya TV, and we are still with Professor Ted Anyebe discussing the Akweya book project. Professor, the next question is about what would we expect? When are we expecting the book to actually come out?
All other things being equal, we are looking at February 2022. We're thinking that between now and February 2022, the first tranche of the books will start hitting the shelves. So, all other things being equal, and we hope, I'm pessimistic, that we are going to make sure that the book comes out in February next year.
That's interesting. How would you rate Akweya's sons and daughters? How do they identify with their root culture and language?
Yeah, I started up with a premise, but let me now explain. Akweya people are they are not a group of people that are insulated from the impact of globalization, the impact of neighborhood interference and the rest. They are not insulated. We have neighbors that affect our ways of interaction with each other. So the youth, who are the very energetic and highly mobile group are indeed, I will say that you can't say they're not neither here nor there. It would be wrong of me to say they are not so acquainted with they are, a number of them are. But there is a fundamental problem. There's a fundamental problem. Most Akweya sons and daughters that want to do researches find that they hit the brick walls in the process of gathering data. What I mean is that after looking at what exists in colonial sources, what district administrators and interpreters did before independence, or even, because of the death of literature, they have a problem with assessing the rich cultures, especially documented cultures that Akweya people have. Yes, so I will say that a good population of Akweya youth, as it were, demonstrate a liturgic reference to their cultures. They're a little bit reluctant to identify with their cultures. And this population is essentially a population of the group whose parents are educated and they live outside Akweya. What happens is that either because of education or the fact that they are not within the vicinity of Akweya community, the good number of the children now prefer to speak English language. And like I said before, the language you speak regulates even your thinking process. And so there is a reluctance. For instance, during festivals, I hear particularly the young people, when some enthusiastic people carry masks and they are trying to do some cultural displays, I hear some of the young people say, this old tradition, me I not did this one, no. This one not my thing. I beg, leave me. For instance, a masquerade is passing and women are supposed to stand up or something like that. Just mere part of the participation process, particularly in terms of cultural participation. When you stand up and a masquerade is passing and you stand up, it doesn't mean that you are reducing yourself. It's just a whole process, because the performance process is collective, and it's part of the performance, the reactions to some parts of the performance. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that the young people are not very enthusiastic like the older generation. And this I see as a dangerous trend. There are some of them who are, but the population is rather reducing. That is in terms of those who are interested in cultural behaviors, cultural nuances, doing the things that the Akweya traditions says people should do, following the tenets of tradition. A number of people think that, especially the young people, they think that being traditional, it's being archaic, being old-fashioned, being, modern. And that's not the essence of modernity. Modernity is a dynamic process. It's a movement from one stage of development to another. The fact that you identify with your culture does not make you, it doesn't make you less a human being. In fact, it makes you a rich human being. Because if you speak English and speak English only, what you are doing, or if you think that only the Western culture, as it were, it's what you are more interested in, what you are doing is reducing your personal self I mean, it means that you are saying that you, as an individual, you are inferior. And that's wrong. That's wrong. You're not inferior. But the fact that you reject your own tradition and embrace a foreign tradition means that you are directly saying, presenting yourself as an inferior being. And that is not correct. So we need to embrace our tradition, at least to talk to the youth, to be more responsible to tradition. And of course, there are traditional behaviors that are not too good. That's not what I'm saying. The ones that deal with issues of language, one, speaking of language, and behaviors in terms of respect to elders, or certain vital aspects of traditions. So much as we talk about culture, we also want to educate our little ones that are growing, that they have a responsibility. Like we took up this responsibility, got it from our parents, and we want it to be alive. What are they going to leave for their children? Are they going to leave English language for their children? English language is not theirs. Akweya language is for Akweya people. And so if you don't retain it, it goes. It goes. So I think I want to encourage all Akweya young people to go back to speaking Akweya, doing Akweya things, so that when they give birth to children, they will give their own children the Akweya culture that they got from the other generation.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Having said all that, what are your challenges that you've envisioned as you embark on this book project?
Yeah, of course, research is usually, it's a process that makes somebody to go out, and one major challenge I am envisaging, of course, is something that I'm used to. Akweya people, that is purely traditional Akweya people, have a penchant for not letting out. They are not interested in coming to open and getting their cultures, exposing their cultures to the outside world. And the number of our cultural activities are so, they are cocooned in this process of preservation. Now, when they think that, Akweya people think that if you let out, other people will copy. But that is the process of growth. For instance, you are not permitted to do a photographic representation. For instance, if a masquerade is coming out, you are not permitted to give a masquerade a shot. That is snapping, so to say, a masquerade. And I said, no, that is not how it should be. So we have a tradition, and this is one of the things that I'm envisaging. I'm envisaging the fact that people are going to be keeping out, they're not going to be willing to talk about some very important aspects of perhaps maybe rituals or traditional things that they prefer and see. That one is an Akweya thing. They don't want their shots to be open to the public. And it's a problem. It is a problem. You must, every culture that has grown over the years has grown because they've been able to let out. They've been able to expose it to the outside world. And this is what we should do as Akweya people. I have seen a situation where they will say, no, we don't do this, we don't talk about this. For instance, they will say, that means that let us understand the thing within our mind. I think that Imuku should be coming out so that we can expose not those parts that shouldn't be exposed, but the ones that we are seeing with our eyes. Let us know much about it. I've envisaged that. It's something that I know that we may, but I'm sure we are going to get over it. We're going to get over it. Ironically, I had an experience when I was doing my research for my PhD. When I spoke with the owners of the traditions, for instance, the traditional chiefs, and his and all his followers, they concede, that is, they agree that you should interact with most part of the tradition. But ironically, the youths, that is what I experienced when I was in the field. The youths were very intolerant. In fact, at one point, they seized my camera. I had given the camera to somebody to
Film.
Yes, because I was using a methodology which allowed me to participate and then observe, a participatory methodology, so to say. So I gave my camera to somebody. They got the camera, and only God saved the camera from being broken. And it was a sophisticated camera. So there is this feeling or this thought that traditions should not be exposed. No, but traditions have to be exposed. We're living in a globalized world. And we can't be satisfied unto ourselves. Quite a number of the things that we are keeping and closing in a shot and we are shutting out of the world view of the people. I mean, the view of the people are things that are very important. And those are things that could even bring in, could even improve our finances in Akweya and turn Akweya land into a tourist center if we are able to expose some of our particularly the performance tradition of Akweya people. And Akweya people are very good in performance.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been nice speaking to you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Akweya TV.
Thank you.
Akweya, you've heard what the professor has said. He has said so many things about Akweya that we should identify with our youth. That identifying with your root or culture does not mean you are archaic or old-fashioned. Thank you very much for watching Akweya TV.